last couple weeks has been amazing. My wife and I met a couple in Yakima. She had a huge tumor growing in her. Well, I found out this week it was removed, no problems, and no cancer. So I want to encourage you to praise God and to pray and to be prayed for. Also, we have a local one. Paul went into emergency. The doctors directed their hands, and he's at home now from my understanding, and he's doing much better. We want to praise God for that. And then the officer that we prayed for in Walla Walla, I was talking to a state trooper this last week. We were talking about that incident. That officer wants to come back to work already. The window and the film they put over the window to darken the tinted saved his life. He held up his hand. He lost a couple digits of his finger, but other than that, he already wants to come back to work. So our prayers are being answered. And so I want to encourage you not only to keep praying and be open to praying for people. I was actually doing some Medicare stuff at a booth. This couple came up and they had some questions, and they start talking about how she had this tumor, and I said, can we pray for you? I mean, look for those opportunities because they're there. People need prayer and they need God. And I just want to encourage you to just move out in that.
Amen. Where's Javier at? So we've got Teen Challenge. You guys have done really well for Teen Challenge. We've contributed to them. The church has, and they want to probably thank you for that. They thank me all the time, but it's really you guys doing it. So, but they want to come and visit us and all that good stuff.
Good morning, my name is Javier Guzman, and I'm the outreach coordinator for Teen Challenge here in Pasco. And we just want to say thank you guys. You know, there's 15 men up here that are in the program right now, and a couple of interns, well, one intern that's up here, and we just want to say thank you. Sometimes it helps, you know, to look at what you're investing in, right? You know, we're all going to invest in something, right? Whether it's a hobby, whether it's something fun you want to do, whether it's a house. We all invest in something, right? But investing in God's kingdom is the best thing that it has the best return, right? Personally, Pastor Gordon has been by my side for many years. He's always had my back. He's always been there for me. But you guys as a church, and including him, have been there for these guys, and we just want to say thank you. You know, there's words can't express how much of an impact your guys' support does for these guys, right? But I also wanted them to look at you, because sometimes, you know, a lot of us, I don't know about you guys, right, but us, we come from a very selfish background, right? Entitlement, you name it. Never take the time to thank anyone or anything, you know, for anything in our lives. And so for us, it's also a good time for us to look at you and take the time to acknowledge that people are helping us, and take the time to thank God for that help. And so anyways, yeah, that's all. We just want to say thank you, Pastor Gordon, for everything you do for us. And thank you, church, for everything you do for Teen Challenge. Thank you.
They were looking at me like, what are we supposed to do now? I don't know either. So, all right, kids are going to be released with my beautiful wife, Teresa, my wonderful grandchildren. Yeah. You can take, there's more licorice back there. You can take it with the kids and bribe them. Sit down, I'll give you licorice. There was this guy who was walking on the beach, right? And so he's walking along the beach, and God comes down and talks to him. He says, you know what? You've been a man after my own heart. I mean, it fits into what we're talking about, rewards in heaven, right? You've been just so faithful to me. I mean, you are righteous, you're upstanding, everything. I'd like to bless you. And the guy's like, oh, okay. He says, what would you like to be blessed with? He goes, well, Lord, I've always wanted to go to Hawaii. And I'm afraid to fly. Could you build a bridge from here to Hawaii? And God looks at him and says, man, that's a big ask. Have you ever read the Bible? I mean, there's only a few miracles. That's one of those impossible miracles. Not really impossible for me, but it does take me a little bit of time to do stuff like that. I mean, it's like parting the Red Sea, impossible miracle, something that just once in every few thousand years happens. And that's like, is there anything else maybe I can bless you with? The guy says, well, I'd like to understand women. Like to understand how they think. Just women in general. I mean, I get along with them. God looks at him and says, you want 2 or 4 lanes with that? All right. So it's rewards in heaven. So that piece of licorice, if you're a believer, you get to go to heaven. All right? You can eat it now if you like. See some of you over here sticking it close to your mouth. Say it, say it. All right? But that gift is given to you. But God talks about what we do here matters. And there's rewards in heaven. And I don't think we really think about that too much. We really care. You know, one of the things I had this morning, I had someone talk to me, and they were asking me, probably not the best time to ask this. They're like, you know, our church, you know, we've always kind of gone up and down. You know, when God called me in the ministry, one, I didn't even know what I was going to do. And when he called me, and then I ended up taking over this little church. I didn't know that ahead of time. Ahead of time, I knew that I was going to be a pastor. I just didn't think, I don't have that skill set. I mean, I can maybe run kids that are 21 and younger, because maybe youth pastor or something, because, you know, I think, 60% of the military, maybe more, that's average age is 21, you know. So I could do that, maybe some administrative stuff, but he put on my heart that I was going to be a pastor. But that's it. That's all he shared. I didn't know how big my church was going to be, how small it was going to be. I kind of thought it was going to be normal. You know, what's normal? I don't know, a couple hundred probably, right? Take over a little church that was 9 people, you know. And then our church, you know, goes up and down, you know. It's never gotten a couple hundred people, you know, at least at this point. And I'm not being a Debbie Downer, but, you know, and I struggle with that at times, you know. It bugs me. It's like, man, what am I doing wrong, you know? I do know one of the things is that I do wrong is I read the scriptures, you know. And unfortunately, I don't mean facetiously or to be funny, but I do. I read the scriptures, and I can't get away from that. You know, I could sit here and tell you what this is about and highlight it and probably just have the verse up there with a cool picture, you know. I've tried that, and it doesn't work for me, you know. I'm kind of like Ken. I'm just overcommitted. I'll be committed until we're dead, you know, literally. I mean, you know, I've had buddies say, hey, we need your skill set. You want to come with us? Yeah, sure. Well, we're probably all going to die. Well, that's all right. I'll die last, you know. So when God calls you to do something, he doesn't say what it's going to look like. He just says, come. And then when you're committed to that, you know, so many times we want to look at the results that, you know, like, oh, somehow I'm going to compare, you know. I got a bad thought in my head right now, so trying to explain this. You know, pastors get together. How big's your church? How big's your church? Somehow that's the gauge of my success, you know. But you look at our church. I mean, we're not a very big church, but I know with Teen Challenge, we gave all the high-end items, you know. I mean, think about it. I mean, you go out in the community, our little church, we got about 60-some people on the books, you know. You'll find us out there, you know. I mean, if our church was bigger, I probably couldn't do all the things that I do volunteering-wise, you know? And God hasn't moved that yet. Maybe he will. You know, I believe that he's going to do this community center. He spoke it to me, you know? But it matters what we do for God and that we're in the right steps, you know? How do you grow a church? This is a question that I get. Well, the only way the church grows, honestly, if a church grows, the reason it grows, 80% of the reason is you guys invite people. And then you talk to them afterwards. You don't just invite them and then leave them alone and hope they show back up. You create that relationship and you keep bringing them back. That's truthfully the way the church grows. The other way the church grows is you're in an area that, you know, people drive by. Nobody even knows here. We don't even have a sign on the roundabout. You know what I mean? You know, people drive by your church and they, you know, they're in need of something. And here in America, we go to church. You know what I mean? But if we're doing it because of the ups and downs that we walk through, and when we start to go down the hill, this goes for you guys. There's plenty of you guys that I talk to after you get out. Pastor, I stumbled. I relapsed. You know, the thing with it is Satan doesn't care about you at all. He doesn't care what you look like, what you smell like, how much money you have, or how much money you don't have. All he wants you to do is to be distracted from honoring God. And he doesn't care what it takes. And we're all different. You look at the world, the average person to be distracted from God is not the person that has substance abuse problems. It's not. It's not the guy that's extremely rich. That's not. Right? The average person is distracted from God because we're busy. You think about it. Truthfully, we probably have, I don't know, I don't count, okay? But guessing, I know, you know, probably 60, 70 people truthfully at this church. But every Sunday we get probably half that show up. We're all good people. I'm not bashing you. But we're not an anomaly. It's the way it's in ministry. You know? But Satan wants you to be distracted. And he doesn't care. And gathering does matter. Reading your Bible does matter. Prayer does matter. And when we don't do those things, we grow further and further away. You know? I've been an advocate of, I don't care if this seat got your butt mark in it, you're probably not doing enough out there, right? But we need to start seeking this rewards. I mean, you know, I got it in my notes somewhere. I'll be talking about it, so if I mention it again, forget I'm getting to that age, you know. But I was a guy that I competed at everything I did. If we had lunch, and me and Hobby Hare sitting there having lunch, he doesn't even know I'm competing against him, but I figured out something to compete against him. Like, I'm going to be the first one done eating, or you know, I don't know what. Everything I did, I was competitive. And I was the best at everything I did in my mind. You know? I didn't care. If you could, you know, like my buddy one time, Woody, I just went and seen him. Dude is a stud. Probably the only guy I've ever met on the inside. I thought, he might be better than me. You know what I mean? He's like 6 foot tall, big arms, big, you know, buff dude. One time I ran the airfield. The airfield's roughly 7 miles, okay? Now, if I give a wrong time, don't yell at me because you're figuring out the math. Nobody runs that fast, right? I don't remember. It was a while ago. But I ran the airfield. And let's say 7 miles. I ran about five 30-minute miles. So 5 times 7 is what, 35? 40 minutes. Woody sees me coming in. I'm running in there. He goes, "What'd you do?" So I ran the airfield. He goes, "Oh, I ran that yesterday. How long did it take you?" I said, "Oh, I think it was 39 minutes, I think it was." I said, 39 minutes. He goes, "Oh, I ran it yesterday. It took me 43. I said, "Ha, I beat you." He goes, "Yeah, but I had a 60-pound rucksack on." Bad part is I knew he could do it. You know what I mean? I knew he could do it. But see, sometimes what's what Satan does to distract us. when we do something at our very best, you're always going to find someone else that can beat you. Look at Tyson, right? Look at Tyson, man. One of the best heavyweights ever, but he meets this average dude and knocks him out, right? Satan, all he wants you to do, and that's one of the things that he does, is he distracts us. Look at them, don't covet your neighbor's stuff, right? What do you think it is when I sit there and say, what do you mean you can run? You know what I mean? Well, I can beat you this way then, I'll poke you in the eye, you know? Satan wants us to be distracted. And when we're distracted, we're not doing the kingdom's work. And when we're doing the kingdom's work, whether you want to just make it in and get that piece of licorice or not, God felt like, you know what? It's important. I'm going to give you rewards. Now, you can sit there and say, oh, so there's going to be animosity in heaven, right? Because, oh, I look at my crown here, right? No, that isn't the way it works there, right? I don't understand how this works, but God found it important enough to say, you need to do stuff for me. And since I made you, you're going to want to compete against Javier during lunchtime, and he won't even know it, right? Now, what are these called? The what? Beatitudes. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of God. Poor in spirit, what's that mean? Anybody? Huh? The wounded? The brokenness? Having a dependence on God. Blessed are the people who are poor in spirit, right? You're wounded, right? We could say that today. We talked about it today during our class in the Torah Club. You know, what's oppression? We're oppressed today. You can't go work at a school district and talk about Jesus. Can't go into the jail in a dress. No offense. She called me. That's one of my rules. Sorry. Personal joke here. All right. All right. You can't go to the jail and say, hey, can I pray for you? I believe in Jesus, because somebody might get offended. Now, of course, if they ask, we can do that. Can't work for the city. Can't work for the state. Can't, you think about it. What am I saying here? It's all these government agencies, right? And then it trickles down to regular employees or jobs or job business owners. But that's oppression. We talked about that with Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Lot was oppressed where he was at because he couldn't truthfully share his faith. Now, it's a little bit of a theory, but that's all right. All right? Blessed are those who what? Mourn, for they will be comforted. Now, what are you mourning then? Well, one, I'm mourning the people that are poor in spirit, right? That are oppressed. I'm mourning that our nation is jacked up, right? I'm mourning the fact that you listen to the news and all they do is lie, right? It's like, who do I vote for? I have no idea, right? I'm our national secretary for the International Ministry Network. We had our board meeting, and they were talking about voting, right? And they were like, oh, just general. They didn't say who they voted for, any of that stuff, plus it's all different states. I said, yeah, I hung mine up on the board, and I just threw darts because I have no idea who to vote for, right? I mean, people lie all the time now. I mean, lying is just, what do you mean? What's the big deal, right? It's part of the thing. I mourn that. I mourn the fact that the church is dying in America. You know? And the one thing, okay, we can be replaced. You guys know that, right? I'll give you some business advice or leadership advice. When you realize that you're replaceable, you'll be a better leader. All right? When you realize that you can be replaced and things will still go on, you'll become a better leader. You're not the most important person in the room. All right? Maybe for that moment in time you're important, but it'll fade, right? Also, if you're the best person in the room, you need to find a new group. There's not very many Michael Jordans out there, right? But I mourn our country. I mourn the fact that Jesus is a curse word. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Who's the meek? The humble, right? The weak. You think about it, you know? Has anybody ever experienced violent people? Okay? You guys do realize it, you know, like when I was in Special Forces, we'd go some crazy places just on, you know, and I'm not talking about packing guns. I'm just talking about we're going over to some foreign country to do training with a foreign government, right? And then we go out and we're on the street. Stand up, brother. Come on up here. We'll use you. Yeah, Bill, get up here. Come on up here, Will. All right. Now granted, some of these guys, you got to imagine them quite a few years. Come on. All right. And then we'll get Ninja up here, our karate expert. Come on up, Simon. All right. Now imagine these men, though, but they're all 25, 30 years old max. Right? Now you tell me what bad guy is going to pick on this group of men, right? See, they're not going to be victims because they're not meek, right? Does that make sense? Now let's get Grace, come here. You can come up too, Grace. All right. Come on, Kim. I'm not going to call up any guys, some of you might be offended. Come over here. All right. Now I'm the criminal guy. Who am I going to pick to attack? Who am I going to rob? What, these two dudes? They'll beat me up. Ain't going to touch these two dudes, right? I'll get these ladies, right? Right? All right, then you can sit down. So when we look at meek, we look at the vulnerable, right? Because, I can look at it and say, well, meek spiritually because Satan's way stronger. But when you think about it, the meek, the person that stayed faithful to God despite their physical attributes of not being able to defend themselves, right? God is going to honor you. He's going to give you more than a licorice. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. They will be filled. Right? See, here we can do that on a regular basis. Read your scriptures, pray, talk with your buddies, ask questions. Right? I don't know, is buddy binary? Do I have to do a non-binary phrase here? All right. Blessed are the merciful, for they will show mercy. Right? Do we show that today? You think about it. Maybe we do, but you get on the internet. I remember one time on the internet. Now, I try to limit myself on Facebook. Now I just do church stuff, but I don't comment. You know what I mean? Because you never know who you're going to piss off. You know. So, anyways, I commented to one, and I wasn't supposed to say that, I suppose. So, anyways, I commented to one, and the person that attacked me was my niece. You know, and it's like, seriously. There was other ones, but that's the one that hurt. And I really didn't say anything drastic, you know. Matter of fact, I don't even think I said anything. I think I just reposted something, you know. It was kind of like, I don't know if you guys seen it. They just sent it to Teresa, but there was the evolutionist, right? Right? There's a monkey walking. Then a little bit bigger monkey, and then, you know, as they go up, right? And then all of a sudden they got this transgender one with a beard going back like this. Like, something went wrong, go back. So, right? Thank you guys for getting it. All right. Merciful is understanding, okay? And our society doesn't have that, you know? Cancel culture. It's like they're happy that you lost your job because I did something to help that, right? Your livelihood. You know, you deserve, you know, I hope you can never get hired. Man, you know? You think about it. Rabbi Allen this morning was talking, and he complimented our church. He said how gracious we've been towards him. He said he's been to churches where he got chewed out and yelled at pastor yelled at him. He said he didn't even know why. Now, I didn't hear the other story. But I know another church that he went to, and they just treated him like a second-class citizen, or he was a dog, or redhead stepchild, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? And it just doesn't make sense to me. You know? I mean, there's been churches here where I don't even necessarily agree with their theology. I think, you know what? I think they're a little bit off kilter there. You know what I mean? I do know they believe in Jesus. They got to be at least praising Him in order to do it. But in the end, I'm going to be judged on what I do, not what they do. And I'm going to lean towards being merciful. You know what I mean? I'm going to be lean towards trying to do my best to help you. You know? Blessed are the peacemakers. Right? Who's a peacemaker? You know, tell me what is not a peacemaker here. I can tell you what is rampant in the church. Gossip. It's not the peacemaker. And you'd be surprised how many people get upset about stupid stuff. Stupid stuff. You know, I had someone ask me sometime, I don't think it was being a pastor, but it's like, Gordon, why are you always joking? You know, why are you always trying to be funny or whatever? And they weren't saying it in a bad way, but they were just curious. And it kind of come from, you know, and actually shortly after that, I went to see my buddy at First Group, and I go back in there, and they're all having a good time. They're all laughing and joking around, and I recalled that, and I remembered. Because literally, I didn't know if tomorrow I was going to be alive. You know what I mean? You think about it. Man, I've gone to darn Popeyes like 7 times now. All right? Well, not always for me. I mean, it's me total 4 times, but there's some mixture of orders in there. All right? But they've messed up my order 3 out of the 7. Right? And you get mad. Right? You like, scream. It's like, man, nobody's shooting at you. Just chill out, eat your chicken. All right? So the peacemaker is somebody that isn't going to try to escalate the situation. They're going to try to diffuse the situation. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness. And now, we might be moving into COVID's section right now. Think about it. How many people got upset because you didn't get the shot? How many people got upset because you did get the shot? Right? How many people got upset because you opened your church? Nobody knew we opened ours. We're out in the country, man. All right? But I mean, just the visceral reaction that you would see from different people, you know what I mean? And they're looking at it as, blessed are those who are persecuted just because you're a believer in Christ and you're saying, no, I want to worship my God. How dare you do it? You're risking people's lives. You know, yesterday, putting solar on my house. I'm up on my roof. Well, my son-in-law comes up there, which apparently he is afraid of heights, which was told to me the day before, so he wasn't allowed on my roof. So I go down and go use the toilet, and he's on the roof, and my lovely wife asks, "Is Alfredo on the roof?" I said, "Yeah." And then I started to get into trouble, like it's my fault. I said, "Look, he's a full-grown man. I didn't invite him on this roof." All right? Then my daughter comes outside, and I think, oh, here we go again. I'm going to be getting in trouble again, right? All right? Persecuted because of what we're doing, right? We're moving into that direction. Now, the reason I related to COVID, which is people were like, you know, they were freaking out over it. You know, the reaction was strange to me. It's like, man, wait until they pour the bowl out or something, you know? All right. Blessed are you when people, what? Does this ever happen? Right. I mean, you know, there's talking to this one person, and they just pretty much ignored me as a chaplain. Like, who are you to talk to me? You know, and then that's where I start to puff up my chest, and let's just see what you've done in life, and we'll compare notes, and then I'm going to poke you in the eyes, right? So, but I don't understand that. You know what I mean? And you guys laugh, poking in the eyes. There's a true story to this. I was in an Army training. Okay, I was in Special Forces. Life changed. Wanted to be with my kids. I was gone 6.5 out of 9.5 years. And at that point, I stayed in Special Forces longer than that, but eventually said, I got to go see my kids once in a while. So I moved into recruiting, got a direct assignment here. All right? So that recruiting actually wasn't too bad. I didn't mind recruiting, but that's not a cool job, so I usually don't talk about it. But anyway, so I go to recruiting school, and this kid's in my, he was sharing rooms with me. I was in E7 at the time. He's about like 6'5", about this tall. As soon as you find out you're a Green Beret, they want to, you know all kinds of cool ninja stuff, right? Like the one-finger death punch or one, right? There is a one-finger death thing. It's right here. Just all right? Anyways, so he's like, teach me some stuff. So I'm like, all right, fine. Now, this is after multiple times of asking me. So I said, I'm going to show you how to take a full-on punch. You just put your arm up like this. I want you to hit me, and just show you this, right? So and he bops me on top of the head. It's like, that hurts, you know. Look, man, I'm standing here like this. Just hit me in the arm. I'll show you how. And I'll tell you to hit me harder and harder, and I can show you can take it. And he hits me on top of the head again. Now, at this point, I'm getting frustrated, right? So I'm like, and he, by the way, this was a sign. He didn't graduate, all right? You can't figure out this instruction. You're not going to figure anything else out. But third time goes by, and he hits me on top of the head again. Now I'm mad. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to teach you how to get a chokehold, right? So he chokes me, and I poked him in the eye. Literally poked him in the eye. He goes down. I said, that's how you get out of a chokehold. And then I step back, and reality sets in. I'm like, man, I could get court-martialed for this. Hope he doesn't, you know. Anyways, so when we get insulted, verbally attacked, what is your reaction? Right? What should it be? How do you react? Should be. Because we're representing Christ all the time. Okay? This is one thing that you can't get away from. All right? There's a few things that you can't avoid. All right? Even if I put on a dress, you're going to know I'm a man. All right? If you hang out with me long enough, you're going to know I believe in God. Right? Otherwise, my fruit's rotten. They're going to know who you are. And then if they don't like who you are, they're going to make up stuff about you. They're going to gossip about you. You know? So what do? Going back to where one of the dangers in the church is gossip. Right? Like I've told my elders and I've told all my church, you don't complain sideways. You don't complain down. You always complain up. Right? And then if you're complaining up, at least come with some type of solution. You know? This is what's going on. You know? And I've tried these things and I can't fix it. I'm not smart enough, right? I don't mean that facetiously. But that ruins churches. It ruins Teen Challenge. You guys start gossiping about somebody, right? Oh, this guy here, man, he just won't shut up. He's a punk. How do you think he's going to feel? He ain't going to want to feel welcome. He's going to bolt. He's going to bounce, and then he's going to use again. And that's on your guys' shoulder because it tells me later on, we'll see this, where we're held accountable for what we do. Right? Somebody was patient with you when you were stupid. Rejoice and be glad. Great is what? Your reward. See, when you do all these things that we just talked about, you're going to be rewarded. Now, you may not understand like the significance of it. I don't. Okay, I'm going to get there. How many crowns are there? 5 crowns, right? Is that right, Joe? Where you at? 5 crowns. When you get to heaven, you're going to be rewarded. Now, what does that mean? How are you going to feel? I don't know, but God found it pretty important. All right? It's a contest. Look, man. How many of you guys, now don't be bouting out stuff like negative stuff. We just talked about that, all right? How many of you got excited when the Seattle Seahawks won the Super Bowl, right? Or your football team won the Super Bowl, or your basketball team, or your tennis player, or your chess player, or whatever. You don't even play the sport. You're sitting there on the couch going, yeah! All by yourself, and you're getting excited, right? And if I didn't give you the proper sport or proper reason why you get excited, I don't know. Some of you get excited just because you start going to the bathroom on a regular basis, all right? So, get excited because God loves you so much that he says, when you do something for me, I'm going to reward you for that. I mean, Jesus says, don't store up stuff here. It's going to get eaten up by the moths anyways, right? It's going to rust. It's going to this or whatever, right? Hey, I went and saw Panther. What's that, Black Panther movie last night? I got stood up by my date. Someone invited me, and I already bought my popcorn, and they didn't show up, so I watched it. But I found out the Aztecs, what happened to them. They all drink this special drink, and they become water people. And then, yeah, then they were the most powerful nation. So, but Black Panther did save the day. All right. I've seen a lot of people get excited over stupid stuff, right? You know? Come on, man. All right. For you guys, grandparents out here, you're out there and you're a little baseball player up there. And, he hit the ball, just he hit the ball. That's of my blood. Not the fathers or parents, that's my blood, right? Why do we not act like this for God? Honestly. You know, I mean, granted, we don't want to be in the middle of the mall or at the line and talk about Jesus to somebody and then jump up for joy because you're talking about, because then everybody just looks at you strange, right? But we should be excited. Because God's excited. I mean, how many people here has had a birthday? How many people here get happy birthday? How many of you get that song, right? Right? You guys get that happy birthday song, right? I mean, it's kind of make you feel good. You'd be disappointed if it didn't happen, right? Right? And then your birthday song, and then what else are you supposed to get on that day? You get presents. And you get excited, and don't tell me you don't get disappointed when someone doesn't give you a present, right? Now, granted, you know, okay, I don't care about them, but you should have brought me something. Right? And you too. Thought you guys loved me, right? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? You don't care if you get 1,000 of them, but there are a couple that you want from a couple people. All right? Who sings when you get saved? I mean, you think about it, man. You guys get sung for by a few people when your birthday comes, but all the heavenly angelic world is singing how happy they are. I mean, I think in our minds, we look at heaven as some far off Disneyland, like maybe I'll get to go there someday, right? You don't really think about it, that God, Father in heaven, loves us so much that he died for you. Now see, the thing of it is we can sit there and say, well, that was a couple thousand years ago. Kind of look at it, you know, I mean, Army dudes die for us all the time, right? What's the big deal, right? No, he's still chasing you. He's still chasing you. And if you guys gone through problems and struggles in your life, and you've been able to come out of that situation, it wasn't by accident. God loved you and put somebody in your life to say, hey, come here and help. I want to show you something. I don't know what they said. The dude that came to me, he said God had wings. I told him my God had horns. He said his God had wings, and I thought he was all right. That's how I came to church. That's honestly the bottom line. It took him a little bit longer than that moment, but and then I received Christ. You know? And then they sung for me in heaven. I mean, it's incredible. then God's going to give me gifts? I mean, why do I deserve a gift? I mean, the fact that I shouldn't even go to heaven is incredible enough that I'm here, but yet he says, I'm going to give you rewards because you were faithful. You ran the race and you won. I remember everything was a competition, as I said, right? Everything I did. This is my sniper team in Iraq. Everything I did, I wanted to be the best one there. Every time I did everything. And that's the same thing when I get up here. I do honestly want to be the best preacher in Tri-Cities, in Washington, I don't know. I kind of think I am. But it doesn't reflect it. So, always confused about this. I'm deceiving myself. All right? This is the problem as a Christian, though, is we don't realize we're in competition. We don't realize there's a race to be ran and a race to be won. What's second place? What is the second place? The first loser? I look at second place in this game is not heaven. You know? There is no second place. I mean, we sit there and whine and kick and cry when, you know, your team on TV doesn't win the game. Right? You sulk. Shut up. WSU lost yesterday. That's new to you? Right, I mean, you know, seriously. All right? But when it comes to walking with God, we want to win the race. Here's the problem. Is how do I win the race? How do I win the race? I thought I won the race when I said yes. Right? No, that's the start of the race. The gun went off. Now, from that point forward, it really matters what you do. First thing that you do is you're representing him. Everywhere you go, everything you do. Here's another issue that I've seen. Some of you know how to win the race, but you're tired. I'm tired of hearing no. Tired of the results not being what they're supposed to be. That's your first mistake, is that what you thought they were supposed to be. I've been a Christian my whole life, and I just want to coast. I'm tired. What are you going to tell the person that needs you? Right? Think about it. When you're at the grocery store and you're tired, and you don't do what God asks you to do because you're tired, man. I'm tired of the results, man. I tell people, I pray for people, I invite them to church. Pastor Gordon says the fastest way a church grows is you invite people. I do, Pastor. I do. I invite. I'm tired of them saying no. I'm tired of them not showing up. I'm tired of them coming here and not liking you. You know, I'm tired. But see, that's not. You're looking at is the results is up to you, right? If you ever played a sport, we'll use football as an example, right? Throw the football, throw it straight on the person, boom, and they drop it. I did my part. You don't yell at me, you yell at them, right? But see, as Christians, we too often yell at ourselves because we think somehow I could have made them catch the ball if I would have just thrown it a little bit different. If I could have just stuck it in a different spot. Maybe if I threw it hard enough, it would have stuck in their face mask. Something. I could have done something different. Right? But see, it's not up to us. You know? You guys, and I don't get to see you all the time. I used to teach a class, and then Javier got mad at me and said, you can't come. Nah, it's not true. But, well, part of it's not true. COVID happened, I think, right? And it got reformulated. Anyways, Satan, when you leave here, you're going to be happy. I've accomplished. And I've had a couple of you guys actually, and not just you guys, I've had a lot of people ask me this question. Pastor, I feel called by God. I want to go do this. I want to go do this. And I gotta go into ministry somehow. There's not that many pastors, and we're not that effective. All my friends are Christians. I want to evangelize. I want to bring people to God. Well, sure, be a pastor, and then you don't know anybody to bring to God, right? Because that's all you know is Christians. How many people here got a job, right? Raise your hand high, and I know you guys don't count right now, but you will have a job, so you can raise your hand. Raise your hand. We have this many people employed in this church? Raise your hand if you have a job. Raise your hand, you guys. I want you guys all to raise your hands. All right? All right? Now, when you have a regular job, majority of the people that you go to work with are not believers, or they're confessing believers, but they ain't doing nothing to believe. There's your mission field. Stop thinking that, oh, I've got to be random person in the mall and talk to them, and they're like, dude, I'm on the way to the bathroom, all right? I don't need to talk to you right now. I've experienced that before where it's an emergency run and someone wants to talk to me. It's like, leave me alone, right? That isn't going to work. Me and Javier, we've known each other for a long time. If I call up Javier and say something to him, he's going to listen. He doesn't necessarily agree, but he's going to listen, and he respects me enough because we've developed that relationship. And he knows I'm not saying it to harm him. He knows that I'm not trying to do it to get something out of it, right? See, when you go up to a random stranger or someone that you really don't know, right? Why are you telling me this, right? What's going on here? They're a little bit cautious. Even when I've asked people, can I pray for you? I always see them kind of step back. Okay, what's this mean, right? You know? The only time I ever seen people go, yeah, is when you give them money, all right? Other than that, they always look at you like, what's going on here, right? But see, when you go to work, 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, you're around that person, and you're saying you're a Christian, right? First off, they're going to look at you, what kind of Christian are you? What kind of fruit are you producing? Is it fruit that I want to taste, or is it fruit that I throw in the trash can? Right? Then if it's good fruit, they're going to listen. Someone I know not too long ago works in a area that they can't talk about God. Everybody knows this person's a Christian. And I don't know if they were an atheist, but whatever, they definitely weren't Christian, and they weren't friendly towards Christians. But then they came to this person, asked them for advice, talked to them about concerns that they had, because they knew the truth is in them, and I want to listen to them. Now maybe they never come to Christ in front of them, but it could be somewhere else, right? Because the Bible tells us that, hey, look, the one that saves the person, if you will, right? We don't save anybody, but the one that bring you up, right? We say the sinner's prayer, if you will, and you get saved. But everybody else that talked to him, God honors them, right? You know, in the military, and I've been talking to cops about this, you know, you take, every time you see something tragic, you take a weight, right, like a rock, throw it in your backpack, boom. A couple pounds, no big deal. See it again, boom, throw it in my backpack, no big deal. Boom, I got 10 pounds in there. I'm walking around with it all the time. Legs looking pretty good, strong, I can pack this stuff. See, then what happens all of a sudden, you throw that last one in, and now it's heavy. And that's when they run into problems, right? You guys might find this in the future. That's when you run into problems because you didn't take care of it ahead of time, and you haven't seen Dave, right? Dave's probably experienced stuff like this, seriously, you know? Now they're trying to eat their gun, in morals. They're doing stuff to sabotage themselves in hopes to get caught, but they don't want to admit what they've been doing, right? Because it became too heavy. Military guys like this happens all the time. I can't talk to you about my problems. I'm supposed to be tough, right? I eat snakes after he bites me, right? But see, this is the same way it works with Christ, but it's not too heavy. Their life is too heavy. Their life is too heavy. Their life is too heavy. And you tell them, and every time you tell them about something, that rocks are getting heavier and heavier, so they need Jesus, and then they run to him. So we're all participating in this. We're never too tired. My son, pay attention to what I am saying. Incline your ears, right? Incline your ears to my words. Who's speaking? Okay. Don't let them out of your sight. Keep them deep in where? For they are life to those who find them, and health to their whole being. Above everything else, guard your heart. Why do you guard your heart? Because it's the source of all consequences. How many people here, I'm not going to say what it is, but what is childhood trauma? You're abused. Somehow, verbally, physically, sexually, morally, right? You're abused because your household was just jacked up, right? You know, I got to run the streets when I was a little kid. Why? Because my mom was working until 2 o'clock in the morning, right? She ain't home to babysit me. Childhood trauma because you're doing, experiencing stuff you shouldn't be, all right? How many people ever had childhood trauma in their life, all right? The problem with childhood trauma is your brain's not fully developed yet. It becomes part of your whole system. It becomes part of your root system, and it's virtually impossible to get rid of. And I think it is impossible to get rid of unless you have Jesus. It doesn't mean still that you're not working through it, though. But when you have Jesus, it makes it a lot better, right? Above everything else, guard your heart. Because then your heart and how you feel things, you know, I mean, you think about it, how the body's made up. I can think here and feel here, right? You know, now this is my commentary, so you guys take it the way you want. But prior to being saved, my mom passed away. December 31st, 1999 at 11:30. And she was my hero. She was my best friend. She was the love of my life. And that ripped my heart out. There was no hope anymore. Never going to see her again. And that was more painful than being stabbed. That was more painful than everything. It's easier for me to tell you what I haven't broke, honestly. I haven't broke my femur. I haven't broke my skull. Probably a couple other things. All right? That pain, I was just devastated. And see, this is what I always think. If I go to hell, God is love, and I'm not going to have that love anymore. And that ripping of that heart out is so painful. It's nothing that I want to experience. If I felt that for my mom, imagine what I'd feel for God. Since he is love, and he gave us love, and because of his love, I can love. That's what I think is the most painful thing in hell. Now, I've never been to hell, nor do I want to go. But that's what I think is going to be painful. It tells us that we'll be absent of God in hell. I got a little video here for you.
Which section stands out to you the most?
Do not be anxious about your life, of course.
Are there any sections that concern you? Give me your honest opinion. I know I don't have to say that, but...
The whole truth.
You know I won't be offended.
It's, well, very striking. But if I do the math in terms of good news and bad, it seems like there's not a lot of good news. Anyone who looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery. doesn't that make everyone an adulterer? If your right eye causes you to sin, gouge it out. Wouldn't that lead to an entire population of people walking around with only one eye? Oh, and this one. If anyone were to sue you and take your tunic, let him have your cloak as well. Trees that bear bad fruit being cut down and thrown into the fire. The gate is narrow and hard that leads to life. Depart from me, I never knew you. Do you realize how heavily laden your sermon is with these kinds of ominous pronouncements? I haven't even named half of them.
It's a manifesto, Matthew. I'm not here to be sentimental and soothing. I'm here to start a revolution.
Well, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. That isn't exactly...
I said revolution, not revolt. I'm talking about a radical shift. Did you think I was just going to come here and say, hey everyone, just keep doing what you've been doing for the last 1,000 years since it's been going so great?
Also, there's the beginning and the end.
What about the beginning?
My concern about the beginning is more logistical. Right now, your opening line is, you are the salt of the earth. I'm worried, particularly if it is windy, or if the crowd is larger than we expect, that people near the back will hear, salt the earth, and it will immediately call to mind a negative connotation.
The Punic Wars?
Yes. When Rome destroyed Carthage, they sowed the city with salt to make it barren, and to curse anyone who would rebuild upon it.
I share your concern about the opening line, but for different reasons. I think the sermon needs some sort of introduction, an invitation into what, as you have rightly pointed out, will be a complex and at times challenging set of teachings.
What does you are the salt of the earth even mean? I'm not good at metaphor.
Salt preserves meat from corruption. It slows its decay. I want my followers to be a people who hold back the evil of the world. Salt also enhances the flavor of things. I want my followers to renew the world and be part of its redemption. Salt can also be mixed with honey and rubbed on the skin for maladies. I want my people to participate in the healing of the world, not its destruction.
Then why not just say that?
Come on, Matthew. Allow me a little poetry, huh? Not everyone is like you. Some people like a little flavor. Read the songs of David or Solomon. I'm not going nearly as far with metaphor as Solomon.
I'm reading him next.
Well, good luck. He's probably... Yeah. I told you. These things will make sense to some, but not to others. I don't want passive followers. Those who are truly committed will peer deeply into it, looking for truth. But I do agree with you. We shouldn't begin with salt. You make a valid point. Good work.
Now, one, Chosen is on the 20th next Sunday at 3:30. Our church is going, so if you want to go, you don't have to give Romero $20. I just made you some money, didn't I? $9. You know, you can just buy your tickets yourself online or pay when you're there if there's seats left over. So, but that's from the Chosen. This will be season 3 on there. But you think about it, what Jesus said. What stood out to you that he said? You can spute it out. It's okay. I don't get offended. Doesn't want passive followers. What else? Revolution. Huh? Being the salt. Going deeper. See, I mean, you know, so many times we're afraid. And I know some of you are in here, I'm not afraid, Pastor. Maybe I'm not talking about you. But you think about it. What's the population in Tri-Cities? 300,000. What's it take to kind of overthrow a government? What's it take to change a mindset of a government, to change their thought, to turn them from this direction to this direction? What does it take? 10% of the population. You guys may not know that. I do. 10% of the population. If you can get 10% of the population to start impacting the 90%, it'll shift gears. All right? How many people go to C3? How many people go to Bethel? Just those two churches alone. 7,000 roughly. It's more than 10% of the population. Why are we decline as opposed to incline? Because we're not aggressive. We're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. So I may not be talking about you, but this fellow Christian over here that says I'm a Christian, but yet does nothing and drinks tequila on the weekend, they're not a Christian. All right? Now, the only way you're going to turn is when you don't go to them and be aggressive, like, come here, I'm going to punch you in the face until you submit to God, right? That's what the Muslims do. Right? No. What it is show them love. Show them the truth. Speak the truth. Stop being chicky people. Right? That's probably not a real word. Stop being afraid. All right? Stop being sissy boys or being manly girls, I don't know. But anyways, look, when you're talking to your friend that's saying they're a Christian and they're talking about something that is not in alignment with God, what do? You keep your mouth shut, don't you? Right? You don't say anything. All right? No, we need to speak up. Now, how you speak up matters, right? Yeah, and then that's when you need to listen to God. How do I handle this situation? Lord, help me, help me, help me. I've told this story, it was a while ago. But now, there's Calvinism, there's Arminianism, talked about that. And the gifts of the Spirit, typically there's different groups. I'm not going to say any type of denomination because I've hurt people's feelings in the past, because I called out their favorite denomination. But they don't believe in the gifts of the Spirit. They don't believe they're for today. So we're having this conversation. And the whole time we're talking, I'm praying to God. Have you guys ever done that? So you can be talking, participating in the conversation, and praying to God. It's one of the multitask things that we can do. And I was telling the Lord to give me some true words. Give me the truth so I can speak to this person that they can't rebuke. They ain't going to be able to debate with me after this moment, whatever it is, right? So, I'm going to ask you guys a question. Does the Bible need Jesus to be the Bible? Yes. You take Jesus out of the Bible, is it the Bible? No, it's not the Bible. Might be the Torah, maybe, but it's not the Bible. It's not the Holy Bible. Does Jesus need the Bible to be Jesus? No. Then the perfect's not come back yet, because that's what they say. The perfect is here, and the Bible's the perfect. Until Jesus returns, we're going to have healings. We're going to have prophecy, right? We're going to be speaking in tongues. You may not understand it. You might find it weird, but that's your problem, not mine. All right? If you think it's weird speaking in tongues, you bring that up to God, not to me. He's the one that says that we do it, right? Man, I mean, you find about it. What does it say when we're embarrassed about Christ? Yeah, I mean, why would I be embarrassed about God says you can do these things? Now, not everybody's going to be speaking in tongues. It'd be out of order. Then it would be weird, right? Right? But stop being embarrassed for God. Stop picking the things that you like, right? Saying, you know what, this is what I'm called to do. This is what I like, so I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing this. You guys are all weirdos. I'm going to go over here and do what I want to do because I like that flavor, right? But see, God didn't say that. Here's one for you. I don't see color. You guys ever hear that? I don't see color. We got a whole row here. We got white guy, I assume, Mexican guy, right, or Hispanic guy. You're definitely white. You're a white guy. We got an African-American guy right here. You're mixed, right? All right? God doesn't see color. You guys ever hear that? That's monarchy. God sees color because he made color. He made us different. He made us with strengths and weaknesses. Right? He made male and he made female. And they're exclusively two different ones by themselves and not to mix. Because if you're starting to mix it, you're starting to get, could you imagine being a kid today and your mom or your dad or whichever one it is today, because tomorrow it could be the opposite? Could you imagine how, whoa, right? Anyway, sorry for my rant. Do not lay up your treasures on earth. Right? Why? Where moths and rust can destroy them, thieves can break into your house and steal them, right? But lay up yourselves treasures in heaven where it doesn't get destroyed. What's more valuable? Who's got a dollar bill on them? $5 bill? I don't care. Just give me whatever. Give me your largest bill. Give me some money. I think she has more than you. Wait, come back here. I want yours, Rhea. Yours is larger than his. Here, here you go. All right. Now, he gave me $3. What's more valuable? This or gold and silver? Why? What? You're all wrong. If China wins the war, this isn't worth anything. This is just paper. Look at Iraq. Man, I remember when we go over Iraq, we have all kinds of money, man. Now it's worth nothing. But silver and gold will still be worth something. So this is why it's so important that we store up our treasures in heaven, because the treasures here, they're worth nothing. Right? How many people have ever been to a funeral? How many people see a U-Haul going behind it? Right. What you do here matters. All right? Seek that reward. It's okay. It's okay. Stop being like, oh, I got to be a passive, meek Christian. I don't want people to think I'm doing this for myself. Right? You know what? If people are sitting there saying, well, that guy he's up there like this brother right here. He's up here worshiping, and Kim, you two are up front worshiping God, you know, then someone back there, oh, they're just doing it for the show, right? Well, there's two answers to that. But there could be two answers there. One, if they're doing it for a show, then that's on them. They got their reward. But if they're doing it to honor God, that's wonderful. Now the question is, what was in my heart? Right? What was in my heart? You see a prophet, right? Oh, with COVID stuff. Man, you've seen this all the time. All these prophets prophesying, or when Trump's going to be reelected, right? Oh, Trump's going to be reelected. He's going to be reelected. Oh, he didn't get reelected. But that doesn't mean he won't be reelected in the future. I'm not wrong yet, right? Okay? Those are the prophets. And then you hear all these people talking smack about that prophet, right? If he's doing it for his reward, then it's his reward. Right? If he truly heard from God, then it will come true. Right? But that's not for me to judge. Right? Now, if the topic comes up as a leader, someone brings it up, and I talk to them about that because I'm giving them biblical advice, then that's fine. But otherwise, you're doing what? You're gossiping. You're creating division. Right? You're creating this side against that side, just like America's been doing to all of us, right? White against black, black against white, right? Democrat against Republican, right? State against state. Big Mac against McDonald's, whatever. All right? I want it my way. Look, that's all they're trying to do. And the thing of it is they're fighting a battle with Satan, right? He's the one influencing them, and we think it's them. You really think if you weren't being influenced by Satan, you'd think some of this stuff that they're doing right now they'd do? No, not anybody in their right mind would do it. Right? So what do? We keep pushing into God. We keep asking God. And we start doing things for Him and for Him alone. Not because I want to, not because I have to, but because I love Him. Right? And if I have the opportunity to step out and do something that represents God, then I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. Now, I could be playing this sport, man, basketball, we'll say. The only reason is because that's probably one of the sports I didn't play well, all right? I'd be out there trying my best, sweating like crazy, right? And still lose, right? But I did my best, and that's what God's going to evaluate you on. Was your heart in the right spot, or did you do it for your show, right? It's like these people that name their ministry. Gordon Walsh's ministry, look how important I am, right? I mean, if they're doing it for the right reasons, then great. God's the judge. This isn't my ministry. This is God's ministry. And I just was fortunate enough and blessed enough for him to say, stand up here and talk to these people. Am I great at everything? I had someone tell me the other day. Now keep in mind, I know some of you might think I'm not a great organizer. But I personally don't think the events that we do are that significant because they're not that complicated. But I probably could get better at it because to some other people it is important, right? But I was telling somebody this story because, I mean, I literally, when we go somewhere, we did whole countries. We did it for a year long. It was big scale. So doing some potluck, let's say, it's not, it's pretty simple. What's the worst going to happen with burnt food, right? So, but I was telling somebody this, and I was a little worried about it. Not frustrated, but worried. Like, how should I react? And he says, well, if they think they're really good at it, let them do it. Right? I've had a lot of people tell me, man, you need to get better on Facebook. You need to get better on Facebook. You could do this. You could do that, man. You could do all these things. Saying a lot of things, I don't even know what that is. But it's like, why don't you do it? And then they don't. I can't do everything, and you can't do everything, but together we can. That's why he calls us a team, right? And you think about it. When our church gets to heaven, and you have church ABC of 4,000 people over here, and they're all in the fast lane because there are no rewards, and we're over here with 32 people going, hey, all right, we're waiting because look at that rewards over there, right? I know we won't be doing that, but it is important what we do, right? So let's stand. Can we celebrate? Can we play something? What's that one, blessed? Is that blessed? Is that blessing? The blessing? Is that what can we sing that one? Huh? No, not the last one. The blessing. Yeah, I don't know what it is. We'll go back to the songs. I'll tell you which one it is. Oh, I didn't read the last part of this. For where your treasures are, there your heart will be, right? What I want to do right now, I want to be in the back. Me and Pastor Romero be in the back. So if you need prayer, come back and get prayer. Teresa be available, and Eva, can you be available in case we need help? And we'll do it in the back because up here at front, I want it loud, and I want it loud. All right? Thank you.